appreciate all of you being here this morning. Since we are highlighting or focusing today, number one, let me just say it's good to have with me several council members who are standing with me today. Councilmember Borkins, Councilmember Robinson, Councilmember Cisneros, Councilmember Laster, Councilmember Edwards, and Councilmember Christie. So I want to thank them for being here this morning. Yes, you can clap for them. I do want to acknowledge the presence from, of course, serving the 18th Congressional District from D.C., but is in town and is with us today and standing in support of our efforts on building complete communities. And that's none other than Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Thank you for being present here. Very much appreciated. There are a number of department heads who are here. Those who are in behind me and one that's in front of me. But all of my department heads, if you just show your hands, all of the department heads, if you just show your hands, raise your hands.
Dedicated group.
And which speaks to the importance of this effort. You cannot build complete communities without having all of these department heads working in collaboration with one another. That's what it's going to require. Been talking with them for several months on this effort, and certainly want to acknowledge and thank all of the department heads for being present. And then we have the chairwoman of Metro, who is here with us this morning, Corinne Patman. Corinne, thank you for being here as well, because Metro, too, will play a very important role. Most importantly, we have representatives from the communities that we are going to be piloting for complete communities this morning. And I want to, if representatives from, let's say, from the Acres Home area, if you're Acres Home, Gufton, Second Ward, near North Side, Third Ward, will all of you just raise your hands? So we have representatives from all of the areas that we intend to pilot in this first round that are here today, and I want to thank them, because when all is said and done, they are the ones that will be the critical partners as we work with them. When I campaigned for mayor of this great city, and it is a great city, I vowed that we cannot allow Houston to be two cities in one, a city of haves and have-nots. And while Houston is a city of opportunity, Houston must have thriving neighborhoods citywide for us to reach our full potential. Unfortunately, Houston has many neighborhoods that are not thriving at the level that other areas of the city enjoy, or at the levels that we want them to be. These under-resourced neighborhoods compare in many ways unfavorably to other neighborhoods on a host of indicators like educational achievement, decent parks and green space, access to grocery stores, too many food deserts, or access to quality of affordable homes, business and job opportunities, just to name a few. We must do more to close the gap between these under-resourced neighborhoods and those that are well-resourced and well-connected. A great city is one that provides opportunities for all. And we need a city where people will want to live and enjoy opportunities in the neighborhoods where they grew up. That's why we are launching an initiative called Complete Communities. We've been talking about it for quite some time, discussing it, meeting, and this is the right time to introduce it. Complete Communities is about working towards creating thriving neighborhoods where people can have access to quality services and amenities that we all deserve. It's about working closely with the residents of communities that haven't reached their full potential, understanding their strengths and opportunities, and collaborating with partners across the city to strengthen them. And while we improve these communities, we must also do what we can to ensure existing residents can stay in homes that remain affordable and provide others who are looking for places to live affordable accommodations. We are going to begin this initiative by working in 5 communities. These are the 5 pilot areas: Acres Home, Gulfton, 2nd Ward, near Northside, and 3rd Ward. And though I would love to start these initiatives in every under-resourced neighborhood right now, to do so would dilute our efforts, spread thin our resources, and result in less of an impact. The key to transforming these communities in the shortest period of time is to concentrate our efforts with other partners, leveraging all of our resources, public and private efforts at the same time. We selected these neighborhoods because of their diversity of conditions and challenges will provide a framework to help us learn valuable lessons as we seek to expand this initiative to other communities across the entire city. These 5 pilot areas are all historically under-resourced. Each has some level of community capacity, and they have diverse populations and development patterns. People may be wondering, what real change will this effort create for these neighborhoods? We're aiming high, but keeping our feet on the ground. We recognize that this effort will not transform neighborhoods immediately, nor will it be a panacea that eliminates all challenges neighborhoods face. But they will see an intense, concentrated effort by many partners to enhance their quality of life and improve their living conditions. I do believe that a more focused effort on behalf of the city, working hand in hand with many public, nonprofit, and private partners, as well as the local communities themselves, can assist these neighborhoods in achieving their goals and bring about real and durable change. So what process will we follow to help strengthen these communities? Let me take a few moments to walk you through our approach. First, we recognize that each of these neighborhoods has unique needs and their own goals that they would like to achieve. So we will engage the residents in each neighborhood to understand their vision and partner with local communities to support their efforts to achieve their goals. In other words, this is not a one-size-fits-all approach. Community engagement is important. Many of these areas have already had the benefit of significant neighborhood planning efforts, often by community development partners such as the Local Initiative Support Corporation or Avenue CDC. For those communities where planning efforts are already underway or completed, the city will look for ways to support implementation for those plans. For areas without previous neighborhood planning efforts, the city will soon begin a 6 to 9 month community engagement process to help local residents and businesses identify improvements to strengthen their communities. And after completing these plans, we will ask the local community and other organizations to be our partner in turning the plans into reality. And these partnerships with the local community will be a cornerstone of creating change. In Acres Home, for example, there are already examples of local partners coming together to improve their community. The local business, Burns Barbecue, has teamed up with the Boss Life Construction in the past year to build quality, affordable homes for families in the Acres Home community. This is a perfect example of a local effort that could benefit from additional city support and coordination. And I believe this additional support is the right thing to do. We will provide support to our pilot communities in a number of ways. First, each community will have the benefit of a team of dedicated staff across several city departments that will work with the neighborhoods to identify priority projects and develop implementation strategies. Hence the reason why so many of the department heads are here this morning. This training in city programs and this team will make use of the city's data resources, seek to connect community leaders with training and city programs, and lead the neighborhood planning efforts. Second, in the coming months, the city will implement quick delivery projects that demonstrate the city's commitment to this initiative. Examples of these projects could include more focused heavy trash sweeps, enhanced weed abatement, repairs to our parks and community centers, or repairs and or construction of single-family housing, enhanced street lighting, more sidewalks, placements in our areas of public art, or education for residents on city tools for preserving neighborhood characters. These short-term projects will generate enthusiasm and serve as a catalyst for support from outside organizations and the local community. Third, we will develop what we are calling the city's neighborhood toolbox. The toolbox will identify in one place all city programs that neighborhoods and the city can use to enhance all of Houston's communities. This toolbox will help ensure that we are delivering these programs effectively across the city, and we will proactively use the toolbox to strengthen the 5 pilot neighborhoods. Fourth, the city is looking at its own uncommitted discretionary funding sources and exploring how to focus these funds to create a more significant long-term impact in these 5 pilot areas. For example, today I'm setting a goal of dedicating 60% of the city's TERS affordable housing and HUD funds towards these 5 neighborhoods. In addition, the city will focus a portion that received an applause from Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Thank you, Congresswoman. And please tell the president to keep the CDBG funding coming. Essential for these 5 pilot programs. The city will focus a portion of other resources, such as the newly created drainage swap program, in a targeted way towards these pilot communities. And finally, the city will also be asking organizations outside the city to be our partners in finding long-term solutions for strengthening these neighborhoods. For example, we hope that the nonprofit sector, like the Houston Parks Board or healthcare organizations, will join us in this effort. We will seek to enlist government agencies, such as local school districts or Metro, our good friend, to help fill gaps in our education and public transportation systems, because providing multiple transit options is important for the economic, business, and job opportunities and getting people where they need to go. And we are convening groups from the private sector as well to identify barriers to attracting more private investment into these areas. For example, we have already begun discussions with the Greater Houston Builders Association, who will work with us on housing, with Ed Wolf of Wolf and Companies to assist with retailers, with Brad Frills of Midway Companies, who will focus on development, and Jim Murnan of Commonwealth Funding, who will work with us on financing. And I also want to include our conversations with Wells Fargo as well. Together with these groups as our partners, we can undertake a long-term effort to make real, sustainable differences in underserved or under-resourced communities of Houston. We can ensure these neighborhoods have fewer vacant lots, better access to quality grocery stores, and improve health outcomes. We can preserve affordability in these neighborhoods, reduce instances of crime, weeded lots, and stray animals, and we can improve drainage and streets, improve education outcomes, and enhance access to amenities like quality of parks, libraries, public transportation, bike trails, and economic, business, and job opportunities. The problems these neighborhoods experience have been decades in the making, and the solution to these problems are long-term as well. Some of these solutions will take years to implement, but that period can be shortened if we concentrate and leverage our efforts and resources. Finally, businesses, nonprofits, the public agencies, as well as the City of Houston, working together to close the gaps and make neighborhoods more complete, can make these 5 pilot projects realities. To do this is critical for Houston to remain a welcoming place that works for everyone, a truly world-class city. I look forward to working with all of our partners to bring about a real change in these areas. I want to especially thank members of the Complete Community Advisory Committee that have already been working, many of whom are here today, for helping us develop this new program and your continued assistance as we refine it. I also look forward to working with members of City Council on this initiative to continue to improve this city. I look forward to working with all of our partners on the federal and state level to make sure that we get things right. And I encourage all of you to get involved and learn more about Complete Communities. We've set up a website so you can learn more at houstontx.gov/Complete Communities. I'm extremely excited about this initiative. In fact, for me, it is a signature initiative for communities to see not only the little things that we do, but to see the transformation that we seek to make. And today, we are starting that in earnest in building complete communities where opportunities exist throughout this city and not in just a few. And that brings me to the end. Congresswoman, would you like to add anything to this morning?
First of all, it is more than a delight to live in a city where a mayor keeps his promise, and to live in a city where the array of dynamic elected officials, the great team that the mayor has of members of city council who have shown themselves to care for others more than the infrastructure of city life that they also are responsible for. It is clear that these members of Congress, members of city council, and members of Congress, we hope, care about people. So, Mayor, let me thank you for this initiative, and let me join you. As a former member of the Houston City Council, I think that this is probably one of the most historic and important initiatives that I've seen over our years of caring about the city of Houston. And the mayor is right. This is a partnership, not only with city and the city council and community leaders and those interested in complete communities, but it is certainly a partnership with the federal government. I am very pleased to be a leadership appointee to the Budget Committee. That means we get to take the mayor's requests directly to the president's budget and its reform. That budget does not speak well to where we are. And so my commitment, and I believe the members of Congress, bipartisan, Republicans and Democrats, will be reassessing the budget that is offered to be able to join the mayor on certain areas that we have used community development dollars for. We will restore those dollars to community block grants so that we can continue to help this city on their parks and parks restoration. We'll also utilize those grants along with housing and urban development funding for tax credits and home down payment for those who want to build affordable housing and those who want to live in it. That's a federal responsibility. Then I say to our chairwoman, who has led Metro so ably, that we have certainly benefited from the New Starts program, where I helped to generate $900 million, federal dollars. And those dollars reflected in some of the communities that the mayor is now speaking about. We want to continue that funding for Metro so that it can continue to move and improve its mobility to complement the mayor's work. And then I think there are two other important elements that we should be concerned about, and federal dollars can have a place. That is the National Endowment for the Arts that the budget presently projected does not reflect. We will restore those dollars and utilize National Endowment for the Arts funding, Mayor, I hope, in your complete communities so that we can not only help those existing art entities, but we can work to the art entities that are in these reflective and respective communities. We want art to be recognized everywhere. Finally, I think it is important in the discussion that we have had on health care is that in the mayor's effort, we can help him create health facilities in some of the areas that have been mentioned, like 3rd Ward, Acres Home, Gulfton, near North Side, and the 2nd Ward area, because more people will be coming there. Mayor, we are in partnership, and we thank you for the initiative. We will continue to work with you, and we'll add to that federal dollars for safety and security to work alongside of the hardworking men and women of the Houston Fire Department and the Houston Police Department. We will not be a silent partner on this, because quality of life and complete communities is not only your promise, but it should be the promise of the American dream. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I also want to acknowledge the presence of Councilmember Larry Green and Councilmember Dave Martin. Thank you both for being present along with the others. Now, this morning when I came out, it was a nice, cool day, and I thought it would be good to be on the steps. But since this is a hot topic, it's, you know.
Heating up, man.
All right, any questions anyone may have?
Is there any kind of a total cost estimate for all the repairs and the entire initiative?
It's difficult to do a cost assessment right now, to put a number on it, because we still are needing to do the needs assessments. And that's why we're working in each one of these communities. The advisory board has been setting up. We've already initiated meetings with people in the respective areas themselves. We'll do the needs assessment. We know that there's a need for affordable housing. We all know that. Story in the paper yesterday about affordable housing. So we know that in all of these communities. We know there's a need for better parks, not just with a name on it, but better parks and green space. We recognize that. Food deserts, I don't have to tell you about that. In many of these areas, there are food deserts. But that's also going to require working with our commercial retail establishment. So all of the costs will not be associated with the city, but it's the partners as well. So once I think we do a needs assessment and we drill down even more, then we can put a number to it. We're just not in a position to do it right now. And we are leveraging funds, okay? I can say on the flip side, as you know, there are $46 million in TERS funds, for example, that have not been utilized. That's readily available to us right now. We do know that there's EDU funding that's available. That's about $14 million. There's funding in 108. That's about $100 million that's available there. And so the whole notion is to take what the city has to offer, leverage it with the public, with the private sector, other nonprofits, to provide that transformative impact. And I think we can do a lot of things short term as we build on longer term plans. Yes, Rebecca.
Mayor, if you don't have a cost estimate now, how much in total city resources are you committing now to this project over what period of time? You've said, a percentage of funds. Yes, the city has $46 million in TERS funds right now. That means committing $27 million to this.
The goal, the breakout that we're looking for is about a 60-40 split. About 60% of additional dollars that come in that are available will be utilized in these 5 pilot programs. So I'm not placing any limit on it, because the goal is that this is not where we stop. We go by one community or these 5 communities, and we are there for a few weeks and we leave. The whole notion is that we stay until we reach that benchmark where we think things are sustainable, and we see the transformation actually taking place. And so the commitment that we are making to these communities is that we are going to be with you until we put in place, working with the communities, that infrastructure that they need in terms of planning, the brain power, the resources, and where they can sustain it. We don't want to do something and then walk away from it, and then 6 months or a year from now, they're back to where we started. So my commitment is that we're going to stay until we are convinced that they're at a point where they can sustain the investments that have been made, and then build on top of those investments.
And are you planning to invest any additional portion of the general fund into this project?
Well, we've kind of looked already, for example, let me back up. What has been happening in the city for a long time is that we've been doing a lot of stuff. It simply hasn't been centralized or coordinated or focused. There are a lot of things that we have been doing. In the CIP in these affected areas, there's about 14 million or more just in the CIP that's already there. But there are things that are all over the map. And what we are doing is saying, look, let's concentrate and prioritize our resources to get the impact. Another reason why this came into play, I had lunch with a number of faith-based nonprofits. And there are a lot of nonprofits in our city. And they're doing a lot of good things, but they're doing it all over the city, not in a concentrated fashion. And so what they have said to me, Mayor, if you are targeting, if you are signaling that you are targeting certain communities, then we can come in and leverage what we are doing to get a greater impact. And can you imagine if there are hundreds of nonprofits that are now focusing in these areas? The same thing, point number 2, a developer came to me when we were talking about another project that you may be familiar with down the street in the Galleria area. And this developer said to me, Mayor, we hear you talking about building affordable housing all over the city. But if we knew as developers that the city was signaling that these are areas where you're going to the city is going to be concentrating, and if we know that we are not going into these areas by ourselves, then we are more inclined to go in these communities and seek to develop, because we recognize that we are not just making the investment by ourselves. And so what this effort is intended to do is to be an intense, concentrated effort that's well planned, where we are signaling to the rest of the world, for the next 2-3 years, however it may be, we are going to be concentrating our efforts in Gulfton, in the 2nd Ward, in Acres Home, in 3rd Ward, in the near North Side, and we are encouraging and inviting others to concentrate their efforts in these communities as well, to bring about the greatest degree of impact. We've not done that before. I think in Neighborhoods to Standards, it was all over the city. And when you're trying to do things all over the city, you dilute your resources. With this area, with this effort, we are targeting these communities, and not just the structures. We're talking about enhancing their quality of life. We're talking about providing job and business opportunities. We're talking about transit options, making it available for them. We're talking about better parks, green space. We're talking about mixed income affordable housing, all of those things in a concentrated fashion, and where the city is making these communities their priorities while we continue to do other things in other areas. Now, we're not going to be operating at the exclusion of other communities, but this is over and above.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like the city is not putting any additional money toward housing, community development, planning. It's just kind of reallocating what you already have. Are you at all concerned that neighborhoods like Cashmere Gardens that have been under-resourced for a very long time but are not on this list may lose out?
No, I am concerned that if we don't do this, they will never make it out. That's my concern. All over this city, there are under-resourced communities. All over this city. Cashmere, Sunnyside, Independent Heights, Denver Harbor. I can go down the list. But if you try to do everything at the same time, you end up not doing much at all. That's what the city has been doing for decades. This is calling for a total change of the way we operate. And that is, people are not interested in you doing a little bit here and a little bit there, and at the end of the day, no one can see the little bit that you have done. What people are wanting is to see transformation in their communities. And so what I would say to Cashmere, we see you and hear you, but when you look at what we will do in these respective pilot communities, I think communities will be willing to wait for the transformation that will take place. Because otherwise, if we don't do this, everything remains the same. They remain the same.
That's a pilot too, yeah.
And these are 5 pilot neighborhoods. These are 5 pilot neighborhoods. Let me also say to you, we're not ignoring communities in the other parts of town at the same time. We'll continue to do work in those communities. They're not going to be left out or forgotten. What we are doing now is leveraging existing resources, or we're trying to bring in new resources. So as we talk to, where's my list? I had my list. Oh, I have mine.
Partners.
Because I think, Rebecca, it would be wrong to say that we're taking away from them. We're not taking away. Whatever they're getting now, they'll continue to get, and we'll move forward. But as we work with Houston Parks Board, LISC, Baker Ripley, Neighborhood Center, Civic Houston, Houston Endowment, Houston Housing Authority, Metro, Memorial Hermann Hospital, the financial institutions, Lone Star College, Centerpoint, Comcast, and the Greater Houston Builders Association, Ed Wolf, and so many others. We're asking them to come in and provide additional support on top of what the city is giving. So we're talking about bringing in additional support to supplement and to leverage what we are doing. To give you an example, we plan on, there's a project, for example, in the Sunnyside area that we intend to be tearing down. That's going to continue to take place. That's not changing. Anything that's on the books now, we'll continue to follow through. But this is an intense, concentrated effort of working with partnerships, leveraging resources, saying to nonprofits and others, I know you're doing a lot of good things, but if we leverage, work together, partner, we can be impactful in our approach as we continue to work in places all over the city of Houston. So no one is going to be left out.
Can I make this one point to her? The mayor can't do this alone. Some of us, as you've seen, live in these areas. It is important for the private sector, which the mayor mentioned, to be very strong on these proposals. And examples are, place your businesses, particularly your consumer-oriented businesses, in these neighborhoods. They become beneficial because of the population that has now come because of affordable housing, and they begin to turn profit in these neighborhoods, and that really generates the completeness that the mayor is saying. So businesses, place your businesses in the neighborhoods that the mayor is speaking of as investment comes to build the housing stock for young families and single Houstonians and others to come and live in these neighborhoods in a greater way. And that will add to the complement of the work that he is doing, along with the healthcare facilities, the arts. That will add to his mission. This has to be a signature commitment, not only by the mayor, but to those who know that the city runs not only by government, but it runs by the private sector, embracing this wonderful idea so that we walk the streets of these areas and see great excitement, great diversity, and great businesses and great families.
And let me emphasize, these are 5 pilot programs. Once the objectives, the benchmarks have been achieved, then we move to the next community. And then we move to the next community. And then we go to the next one. But what we have discovered is doing business in the city of Houston the way we have been doing it for the last 30 years will continue to leave all of these communities under-resourced and pretty much where they have been for decades. And that is unacceptable. That model, let me reemphasize, that model does not work. It doesn't work. So why do we want to continue to work with a model that has proven to be ineffective? That model doesn't work for these under-resourced neighborhoods, and certainly is not working fast enough. And what people are wanting, they are wanting transformation in their communities. And this model, this paradigm shift, okay, as it relates to the city of Houston, this paradigm shift says we are going to concentrate our resources and our efforts to bring about transformation. And then once we get you to that point, we will then move on to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Leah from Kinder Institute. You mentioned the need to protect existing residents. How will you do that?
I'm sorry, said
Protecting existing residents.
How will you do that?
to protect existing residents.
Right, their right to stay and their affordability on the inside. How will you protect
Revitalization versus gentrification.
This is revitalization. This is not gentrification. This is revitalization. We'll continue to work with seniors and others to make sure that they continue to have affordable place. We're talking about building affordable housing, okay? Because right now what's happening in the city, in the absence of complete communities, we're living in a city that's becoming less and less affordable. People are having to move right now. And so if we don't come in and build affordable housing, they are not going to be able to stay. This complete communities model directly is addressed to people who want to stay in their communities. Okay? We do not have enough affordable housing in this city.
Your community outreach approach,
Right.
too.
And so it's about revitalization, not gentrification. The other thing is that we are working, there's a strong community engagement piece to this model. We're not coming into any neighborhood, we're not coming into the Second Ward or near Northside or Acres Home or Gulfton and saying to them, this is what we are giving to you. We're saying we want to work with you. And where you are already doing things, but you may not necessarily have the necessary support, we are here to complement your efforts, okay? And there's no one size that fits all. But what we are committing ourselves is to say, we want to partner with you to transform your communities, your neighborhoods. And then let's establish some benchmarks, let's define what that success is, and then once we're able to check those boxes, then we'll move on to the next one. Yes.
We're talking about complete communities.
Yes.
Forgive me, but I want to ask you, what's your response to the criticism from groups such as the ACLU about the ordinance that was passed on Wednesday regarding encampments? What they contend is that to some extent it's going to criminalize homeless people, which you have said is not, of course,
Yeah.
intended.
Let me hold that one. Let me finish with complete communities, and then I'll come back with that, because the reality is that, well, maybe let me tag it right now. Oftentimes when we talk about homelessness, we talk about people on our streets who are homeless on our streets. We never talk about what keeps them from falling in the cracks, okay? Because they just didn't get there just like that. We have to reduce the number of people that are entering the pipeline of homelessness. One of the ways of doing that is building complete communities where you enhance the quality of life, where you are providing them with jobs and business opportunities, where you're giving them the parks and the screen space, where you're providing the transit options so that they can get to their medical providers and others. We have to reach people before they reach that chronic state, or where they fall between the margins or fall between the cracks. And so by building complete communities, we're also building healthier lives and families within these complete communities and reducing the number of people that will be going into the pipeline that eventually may end on our streets. This is more preventive, okay? This is more preventive. And so, yes, it does tie in to the whole issue of homelessness, because oftentimes we're focusing on homelessness once people are on the street. Well, let me just tell you, that's the wrong time. You have to focus on people before they get there. And complete communities is on the preventive end, trying to reduce the number of people that will end up on our streets in a homeless state. That would be my answer. Building affordable housing, okay? Providing them with jobs, green space, opportunities that in many cases they have not found and find themselves with no outcome but to be on the street. Yes?
Mayor, can you explain the difference between the city's approach to the 3 neighborhoods where it will be a lead and the city's approach to 2 neighborhoods where it's a partner? What's the difference there?
If you take a look, for example, let's say at Third Ward, we see emancipation that's going up and some other things that they are doing. They already have some partners and the investments that are being made. So there are efforts that are already on the way. What we can do with them, for example, is join in and offer additional support and leverage additional resources. But there's a leadership framework that's already in place. The same thing, I think, with respect to the near North Side. Leadership may be already in place. They're already doing some things. You know, we can join in with them to partner to get them to their, I guess you can say, their finish line much, much quicker. You know, the plans are already in place. We don't have to come in and try to replicate or duplicate. You know, we can just come in and join with them and not reinvent the wheel. In other places, for example, like Acres Home, maybe Gulfton, Second Ward, there's going to require much more of a partnership, so to speak, helping to build that leadership vacuum, putting that infrastructure in place, much more of a community engagement. It's going to be much more intense. The planning may be a little bit longer as we work on the implementation phase. So that's the difference, and that's why you have these 3 pilot areas and then these other 2 that we're also working with at the same time. Maximizing our resources. Okay? One more question, then I'm going to have to go. Yes, sir.
Mayor, with this collaborative program that you're bringing forth, how are we engaging our young people, our youth and young adults into the whole framework of what this plan is?
And that's where the community engagement is vitally important, because we're working with the communities and welcoming them, inviting them to the table to help us in the planning phase. They know what's best in their neighborhoods, okay? Because many times when people are coming to City Hall, they are saying what the city is not doing. We're not listening to them. We're not making any meaningful change. We're just talking about stuff. And they just see a little bitty, some little bitty things taking place. This is our way of saying to them, we want to listen to you, we want to engage with you, but we also want to work on some things that will bring about transformation. Some things that you can readily see. Effective, meaningful, qualitative change. And let me be very clear. For many communities that are under-resourced, and many of these kids that are living in these neighborhoods, they have seen their neighborhoods look the same way from the time they were born. Okay? And they are not happy. They are not happy. What they want is, they don't want to hear this talk about incrementalism. Okay? They don't want to hear this talk about, we spreading our resources to everybody. Okay? When you spread your resources to everybody, nobody is happy, because they don't see the transformation. And I know one of the responses will be, but Mayor, you left out our neighborhood. But let me just say this. In many cases, neighborhoods have been left out already. But we are saying, you're not being left out. We'll continue to do work in your communities. We'll continue to do that. But in these areas, as pilot programs, we're going to provide intensive, concentrated effort and additional resources. And then we will move to your neighborhood as well. This is not the beginning and the end. This is not the stop.
Your director of education's here too.
And the director of education is here. And that's what I'm saying. Let's look beyond just the structures. There are so many other things that we're offering. And if I may add, just like the summer program, where we're talking about 5,000 jobs, many of those kids are coming from these affected areas, these communities. That's right. So it's already started, okay? These jobs are coming. Turn around Houston. That's impacting many of these communities. We're already doing that. Removing the blue tarps on people's roofs. Rebecca, those blue tarps have been on their roofs since 2008. Since 2008. And let me tell you, when you go and talk to some of those people who now have a new roof on their house, their whole attitude is different. It's different. Okay? Repairing one home on one street changes the whole street. It changes stuff. And we just started doing that. That wasn't 2 years ago or 20 years ago. We're just starting that. Okay? So it's concentrating our efforts, maximizing the use of our resources, working with our federal partners and getting those CDBG dollars that I hope will continue to come. And I know the Congresswoman will do everything she can, and even, fall on the floor if that's necessary to keep them from taking them away. So look, I hope you're excited about it. I hope those who are standing and behind me are excited about it. Absolutely. I'm excited about it. We're building complete communities. We're building a greater city. And let me tell you, it starts today, and I am excited about what the outcomes will be. So thank you so very much for joining us, and let's work together to build a great city. Thank you so very much.
Wonderful.